Welcome back to the Pesty Marketing Podcast. Today, I'm joined by two women with a combined 50 years of pest control experience between them. We've got Bobbie Terry, the owner of the Bug Lady in Austin, Texas, and Nanette Rota, the owner of Praying Nantis Pest Control. Bobbie also founded the Women in Pest Control Facebook community, which was built to connect and support women in the industry, while Nanette is the COO of the Women in Pest Control group. Today, we're here to get into their stories, the community, and the conversations that most people never hear. Okay. Nanette, Bobbie, welcome to the show. We're really excited to have you on the Pesty Marketing Podcast.
And we're happy
Thank
to be
you.
here.
So I have so many questions for both of you. The first one being, got 50 years almost of experience between both of you. How did each of you get into pest control and what made you stick with it?
Go ahead, Bobbie.
Well, back in 1994, I was working at a auto paint supply place, and I hated it and was looking for a job and saw an ad for Terminex up in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and I went and applied. And they had a time test that you had to take. I took the test. Timer went off before I was finished. So, I left and I thought to myself on the way home, there's no way ever going to hear back from these guys because I didn't even finish the test. So a few days later, I get a phone call and they wanted me to come in for an interview. And so I went in for an interview and manager said, obviously you've never been around bugs or stuff before. So how do you think you'll feel about being around bugs and rodents and that thing? And I said, well, I guess if I'm killing them, I'll be okay. And he laughed. I laughed. And he said, well, yeah, I guess so. And I told him, I said, I'm really surprised you even called me for an interview because I never finished your test. He said, you actually got farther on that test than anybody ever did.
Wow.
And so kind of the rest is history.
Very cool. How long was the test, out of curiosity?
I think it was a 30-minute test. I
Okay.
remember right. Yeah.
Wow. Cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
So, I don't know. It might have been 15, but that was a long time ago. That was 30-some years ago, girl.
Right.
I think you're right, though, Bobbie, because I think the test that I took was 30 minutes, too.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. What about you, Nanette? Like, how did you come into this industry?
So a bad divorce.
Okay.
So yeah, so a little different. So I was married to Satan and working for Satan in a skirt. So I sold air filtration systems, and one of the part-time salespeople that I trained actually was a secretary with Terminate. She knew the boss that I was working for too, and she one day called me and she said, hey, are you still looking for another job? And I said, yes, what you got? And she said, well, Terminix is hiring a salesperson. I said, okay, get me an interview. So it was hilarious because I walked in, I was a professional salesperson. So I walked in a dress and my hair was done, my nails were done. I had heels on, and the guy took one look at me and said, hey, ma'am, do you know why you're here? And I said, yeah, you got a sales job, right? And he said, well, yeah, but it's crawling under houses. I said, well, in case you can't tell from my city accent, I am not from the city. And, I don't know anything about bugs, but if you hire me, I'll be the best salesman you ever hired. And after a 3-hour interview, 3 hours, he actually hired me. And 6 months later, I was his regional sales manager.
3 months, you said?
6 months.
Oh, still. Wow, that's a pretty
still.
quick progression. Yeah.
Yep.
Wow.
I know how to sell.
Amazing. So what made you both stay in this industry and see it through and stick with it? Like, what's really kind of resonated with you both with pest control?
Well, and I tell people this today. It's an industry or a business you get into, you either love it or hate it. And you're going to know whether you're going to love it within 6 months. And if you don't, then you're out the door. But the main thing is solving problems, helping people, and protecting the environment and protecting people's homes and businesses. When you're doing good for the earth and doing good for people, to me, that's very rewarding.
Yeah, totally agree.
I stayed in for the money. The money was great. The challenge, there was always a challenge. I can honestly say I worked for Terminix for 22 years. So the same franchise, I worked for them for 22 years, and they always pushed me to the limit and gave me, I was a regional sales manager, I was a branch manager, and then I ended up, when I retired, I was the regional commercial accounts manager. So I was a business-to-business person. So they always challenged me to the next level, and they believed in me. So here I am.
That's all it takes, right? Just people to
Yep.
believe in you and make you feel like it's you have a place there no matter what kind of industry or work you're doing, crawling under houses. Like if
Yep.
that's all it'll take. What do you both think this industry gets wrong and why hasn't it changed?
That's a
That's a
good
good
question.
question.
I had a lot of questions.
What the industry itself gets wrong?
Yeah.
I think that something that they have been getting wrong, but they're getting right now, starting to get right, is that because it is a male-dominated industry. Males have been doing this profession for a really long time, and as much as the industry got it wrong, so did the female. They think about bugs, and when you're younger, you're like, oh my God, I don't want to do that. My situation was I needed to feed my kids, and so I was willing to do anything. I think sometimes we stereotype ourselves like, hey, I can't do that, or I'm not tough enough, and that's what the guys were doing. They were going, she's a mom, she's a housewife, blah blah blah. This may not be for her. I worked for a fella that was like that. He was old school, but I think that they're actually now seeing, it's coming to light that they're seeing that females are really detail oriented, really good organizers, and that most of us are very determined to make it happen. And I think that they're learning that, but it was something in the past that they did not see. I think now, I heard somebody, I actually talked to Rachel yesterday, and she was saying that she had somebody say in the wildlife part of it that they actually look for female wildlife officers because they're so detail oriented, but there's not that many in the field at all.
Yeah.
Well, and I feel the same, is that we were overlooked in the beginning, but then also there weren't a lot of females that were interested in doing it. So the more females that get into it and the more other ladies see how many females are getting into it, like Nanette, when she found women in pest control, she was like, oh my God, there's other women that do this? And
I literally thought there was nobody else.
Yeah.
That I was in an
And there's a
island
lot
all
of-
alone.
a lot of women out there that feel that way. But now the things I hear a lot is, I'm not hiring a man, I want to hire a female. And I've been hearing that a lot lately.
Really?
So,
That's
yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
That's
So
amazing.
it's really, the tables are turning. I don't think the guys like it, but but
Some do, some don't. I think
And,
that
and it's
it
nothing
varies.
against the guys, because there are men out there that are as passionate about this as we are and are good at organizing and detailing and doing it the right way. Where some of them out there are just in it for a paycheck. And if you're just in it for a paycheck, you're not going to do a good job. You're just not. You're not going
100%.
to take care of the customer the way you would want to be taken care of. And that's kind of how you have to look at it. As,
Yeah.
I'm going to do a job that I would want somebody to do for me.
The detail oriented piece is huge, right? And I mean, pest control unit, anything. I mean, we can do anything, and being detail oriented is going to be like one of, I think, the greatest strengths that are a little bit more common in women, especially. So makes sense.
If you stop and think about it, as in nature, we were created to be helpmates. We are multitaskers. We were designed to be multitaskers because we're the helpmates. So therefore we can hold more responsibilities and more details and stuff, because that's how God created us, was as to be a general helpmate. So we help you get successful. That's what we do.
Yeah, 100%. How did you two meet? What's your story?
You want to tell her, or you want
Go
me to
ahead.
tell her?
Go ahead. I'll let you have the honors.
Okay. Oh, thank you. So I actually at a point of kind of maybe burnout, and it was around 2021. And I felt like I was the only one in the whole entire world that was a female pest person, which I had met females in the industry before, but they never stayed. And so I actually was reading, was it P&P magazine?
PMP magazine, yes.
P&P magazine, and there was a big write-up in there about Bobbie's group, and there were 100 women on a page, and I'm like, what? And they were talking about the conference.
About our first conference in 2019.
It was about their first conference, and I was like, no freaking way. There's other women. And I immediately reached out to Bobbie, and we became friends. After that, the next conference they had was 2021, and I made daggone sure that I was there, and just that conference, I made lifelong friends. It was amazing.
Learned a lot.
I
We
did.
learned a lot about Nanette, and then the following conference, we asked her to be our MC.
Oh, that's so great. That is so
Yeah.
great. I love that. So, Bobbie, the group was founded in what year?
It was founded in May of 2017.
Okay.
And we just let it grow. People would find it and they would ask to join, or well, actually in the beginning, anybody could join. There was no restrictions. We ended up having a few guys get in the group, but I wanted it strictly for women. And so we actually switched it up a little bit and I made it a private group, and then we started they had to answer questions to get in the group. And we were able to go in and get all the men out of there. So, because I wanted it a safe place for the ladies to be able to talk about anything they wanted to talk about. Because how it came about was I was in a conversation with a guy on a group called Pest Cemetery, and he was being a real butt, just a real butt, and very mean and disrespectful. And there was another lady on the conversation with me named Lisa Myers Bott, who lives in Houston. And I told her in the conversation, I said, screw this shit. I'm going to go start my own group. And she says, okay, do it. I follow. So I immediately got off of there, typed in, and went on the events and typed in create an event, women in pest control. And that's how it began. So in January of 2019, I just put a little post out to the group. We had about 380 members at that time. And I put a message out to the group, how many of you ladies would like to get together for a meet and greet? And oh my God, my messenger started blowing up. Lisa's messenger started blowing up. People were commenting right and left. And one of the first people that reached out to us was Janet Hurley, who is with Texas A&M and does IPM for schools. And she said, let's do this, let's do that. And we had other people reaching out. And before we knew it, Lisa and I were like, oh my God, this is going to turn into a full-blown conference. So she was my helper, and immediately went out and got it. In order for us to take in money for sponsorship, we had to have a business license. And because there was no way that we could get a nonprofit through that quickly, because at that time it was taking about 18 months to do it. So she just went ahead and got us an LLC, and we formed a business, Women in Pest Control. So we started putting it together, and we actually made history. And I found a place in Austin to have the conference because we were having it at the end of August. They gave me a discount on the rooms because no business people did anything that time of year. So, and they allowed me to bring in my own catering for an extra fee, which was still cheaper than what their meal plan was. So we had all women manufacturing reps, and we had 14 sponsors that year. We had all women speakers. We had all women attendees. We had about 100 women that attended then. And my caterer I got was a barbecue restaurant place that was one of my customers. So I asked him if they could make sure that there were women serving the food. And he said, no problem. We hired a limo to take our 14 sponsors out to dinner. I made sure the limo driver was a woman. So we made history in 2019 with an all-woman conference. So it was pretty cool.
That's amazing. And the details down to the driver.
Yeah, I want to make sure it was authentically all women, and it was.
Yeah. Did you ever think back when we're in that group and this urge to start Women in Pest Control that it would grow to be what it is today?
No, and I still say that every day. It's never in my wildest dreams would have thought it would have come to what it's come to, even today, even 3 years ago. And I tell people it's been actually the most rewarding thing I've ever done in my life. So I'm just happy about it because the way it's going and being able to help people, and because we do a lot, within the group. We have a sub program, which is our startup business, where we will help somebody and for like 2 years start their business. If they need help, we give them guidance. We can help them out a little bit financially if they need it. Then we have our consulting and training program that people can purchase a package if they need help with different things. We started a thing called the Evelina Empower Her Fund, which people donate to, and that money actually goes to helping women come to the conference. Last year at Pest World, we paid for a lady to take the ACE exam out of that fund. So it's just there to help people. We've got 2 ladies coming in this year through the conference that couldn't afford their hotel or registration, so we're paying for that out of that fund. But they did have to get their own airfare because we don't have a ton of money in that fund. If we had plenty of money, I'd pay for the airfare too.
No doubt. But that's amazing.
how that came about was one year, 2 years ago, we had a bunch of buying extra tickets for people, and because we had them on sale for $100, and there were a lot of, hey, I want to buy an extra ticket to help somebody come to the conference. And so we had about 5 or 6 people, I think, maybe
Yeah.
bought extra
Yeah.
tickets, and that turned out to be kind of a fiasco because we'd give them to somebody, then we'd hear from them, no, I can't go, give it to somebody else, and so on and so forth. And that happened maybe 3 or 4 times, and it's like, and then I had a young lady come up to me and ask, what can I do to help bring other women to the conference? She goes, I want to help out, and I know my grandparents will help out too. And I said, well, and I told her what happened last year. I said, let me think about it. Let's see if we can come up with something else. So we got the staff together at that time, and we came up with this Empower Her Fund. And that's what we decided to name it. So I told Nanette, I said, I think we should name it after Ashley since it was her idea. And she goes, yeah, that's a good idea. And I said, well, I don't know whether to name it Ashley Empower Her Fund or her last name was Cormerfield. And then I says, well, call her and ask her, which I'm glad I did because I called her and I told her what we were doing. And she goes, oh my God, that's awesome. She goes, but I'd love for you to use my middle name, which is Evelina. And I'm like, oh my God, it's such a pretty name. And it just kind of flows. Evelina Empower Her Fund. So that's how that came about.
That is a really pretty middle name. Oh my gosh.
It is a beautiful name, isn't it?
Wow. Yeah. Is there a link to that or anything I can share?
Yeah,
or
everything's on our website.
okay,
Absolutely.
great, awesome.
Yeah.
Well, that's amazing, and that
And we're gonna
growth.
have
I
a big
mean,
old donation bowl at the conference. So
well, perfect.
we've never done
So
that
good.
before.
Oh, you haven't done that before?
No, we've never asked for donations. Now last year,
No, but last
Yeah,
year,
tell her.
I was going to say Sheila Patterson won our humanitarian award, and our humanitarian award gets $500 cash. And she took the money, turned it, and put it right back into Evelina Power Fund. I think the woman's part auctioneer too, because she had those people digging in their pocket, donating. We raised like $2,000.
Wow.
Yeah, it was cool. It was super cool.
Oh my God. Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. Very cool.
We'll get Sheila to motivate him again this year.
Yeah.
I know. I want to see it in action now. Now that we're going, I can actually see. Really
Oh, you
excited.
ladies are going to have so much fun.
We
You'll be
can't
going, Why
wait.
didn't we do this before?
Yeah, like I have a feeling it's gonna be the best one we go to.
And
this
it's
year.
going to be beautiful too because it's right ocean front. So we are right on the ocean. It's beautiful. It's absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, I've never been to Myrtle Beach, so is that where
Me
you're
neither.
you're
And I've got
based?
us at the good end too. So I've
That's
got
where
us at
she's
the
at. Yeah.
really good end.
She's in Myrtle Beach and I'm in Austin, Texas.
Okay, are you both originally from Myrtle Beach in Austin, Texas, or
No,
okay?
I'm from North Carolina.
Okay,
I'm
Cool.
originally from Indiana, but I've been in Texas since '84.
very nice, very nice. So cool. I mean, it's Women's History Month. We're wrapping on Women's History Month. What do you think? We were kind of talking about like seeing more women enter this industry and feel comfortable enough and excited to try to, go and take this on and make it their career. What do you think that some of these pest control companies can maybe be doing a little bit differently to make sure that they're attracting talent that are women and making those conversations happen?
I think what these companies need to do is offer flexible hours because most women are moms and they have kids to take care of or, and school things. They want to be there for their school kids. And some of these companies, they work their technicians to death to the point where they're not even given quality work. As far as I'm concerned, when they're having to run 20, 25 stops a day. And there's no sense in that, in my opinion. If you want women to come and work for you, then you got to be flexible.
That's a really good point. Really
Yeah.
good
It is
point.
because a lot of these, so when I joined Terminex 25 years ago, I actually was a single mom. I got divorced and I was a single mom. So I was everybody. I had to do all the hats and everything, but
Yeah.
thankfully my kids were older. They were teenagers, but still, if something happened, I can honestly say my Terminex that I worked for probably is one of the best Terminexes in the world because they were very flexible. And right there at the end when I was there, my mother-in-law got sick and they knew that I was her caretaker. And so they were very flexible and they really liked, they wanted us to have more female sales salespeople, but nobody, you couldn't get, it's not just the companies, it's the women not applying. And I will tell you, one of the things that Bobbie and I strive to do is mentor women, young women especially. That's what we're made to do. We're supposed to mentor others. And Bobbie, let me just tell you, the reason I own my own company now is her, because
Aw.
she told me, she said, Nanette, listen, if you could sell $650,000 a year for Terminex, what do you think you could do for yourself? And I was like, but I love where I'm at, and she would not stop. She just kept encouraging and encouraging and encouraging. She did. She pushed. And she did, and I'm glad she did, because 3 years in, we're doing amazing. And one of the things I love best about being where I'm at now is that I get to mentor young women that are coming into the business. We've got a couple of ladies here in South Carolina where we're at. One's actually in North Carolina, but she's only about an hour and 15 minutes away, and then the other one's about 2 hours away. Two young women that are just starting out in their own business, and we're mentoring them. And that's what I love to do. That's exactly what I love to do. Bobbie mentors me. I mentor these young women, and Bobbie mentors other people besides myself. But
I was gonna say I'm mentoring Ruby right now too.
right, she's mentoring somebody. So it's that's something that's really important. We need to encourage younger females in this industry. I wish I'd have started 20 years. I'd be a millionaire. I'd be kicking with my feet up on the beach if I'd have started 20 years earlier.
Yeah.
If I'd have started,
Yeah,
because
me
I
too.
was 30. I was 38 when I started. So, and then I
I was
started my
40.
own business at 58.
I was
Wow.
So
40
I'm
when I
60.
started in the
Oh
business.
yeah. So we're so if I'd have started 20 years earlier, girl, I'd probably be retired right now.
I
Period.
was actually 60 when I started my own company.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
Yep.
gosh.
So
And
you're
I've
never
had my
too
company
old to
now
start to dream.
13 and a half years. So that
That
tells you
is-
my age.
It's so inspiring. Bobbie, what made you keep pushing Nanette into leaving that bigger, more corporate space? And what did you see where you were like, you need to do this now, and I'm going to keep pushing you?
She was selling $650,000 a year for them. And I kept telling her, why don't you do that and put that money in your own pocket instead of giving it to Terminex? Why not? You got, and that's the key to starting your own business. If you need help with other stuff, there's people out there that'll help. Is you got to have sales ability. If you can't sell, you don't believe in what you're selling, and you can't
Yep.
sell, then you'll never make it in the business.
Yeah.
Yeah. So true.
If you're a technician that doesn't sell on their route, then they're going to be one of the ones that's going to have way harder of a time. Because even though I was scared, and because I was making over $100,000 a year with Terminex,
Yeah.
easy. But to go from there to zero was really, with no benefits.
Yeah,
was
and it's really scary to start out on your own. And
super scary. But I knew that I'd do whatever it took to make it happen, and I did. And I had my senior cheerleader over there just rooting me on the whole time. And and she still mentors me today, even though I've got 25 years experience in the industry. I'm going into my 3rd year of owning my business. 2nd year in, we tripled our business. We're looking to at least double or triple this year.
well, and just
So-
just because somebody has that many years in the industry, when you're working for the same company, there's a lot you don't know. There's a lot you don't
a
learn
million
because
things.
you learn their way, and there's no other way to learn it. That's one of the reasons that me mentoring Ruby right now. Ruby, and her works with her dad, and her dad's always been old school and teaching her the old school way. Well, she's learned so much. She rides with me a lot because she's here in Austin also, which helps me. But she's learned so many different ways to do things other than the old school way, and so she's very, very thankful for that. And I'm kind of teaching her right now. I said I'll do something, and she'll look at me real funny. I go, "You got to think outside the box." And so I'm kind of teaching her that, to think outside the box. And if there's a situation that you can't do on a normal, then think of a way to do it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say something about our conferences in general, okay?
Yeah.
Because when you work for a company, just like she said, you only are exposed to what they expose you to. So when I went to my first conference and I saw all these chemical vendors and these other vendors, I was like, what the heck, man? Where did all this cool stuff come from? And so that's the importance of our vendors, period. Because most of the people, like at our conference, 90% of the people that attend our conference are business owners. They're the decision makers. But these decision makers come from, like me, come from Terminex and was only exposed to a very limited amount of chemicals. And there's so many cool things out there and so many awesome products that I never even heard of. And I was with them for 22 freaking years. And then go to a conference and I see all this really cool stuff. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And that's why it's so important for the vendors to participate in conferences, not just ours, any conference, because without them, your buying power is not going to know about these awesome products, not just chemicals. I mean, there's services like you guys do, and, there's computer services and equipment services. And there's so much stuff that's out there that's available. One of the coolest things we bought at Pest World was this really cool duster, and my husband loves it. It's a automatic. We bought it from Easy Tools, and that thing, you have a button and you push it and it spins by itself. It is the coolest thing ever, and he loves that little tool. And I had never heard of a spinning Weber. I always use my little Weber tool, but those are the kind of things you find out when you go to these conferences. All these new gadgets and procedures and techniques and stuff. And that's why it's so important. That's why we love our vendors. We love you guys because you're going to be one of our vendors. We're really excited to have you there. So it's really important that you get that information out there, because these conferences sometimes are and our magazine. We have a quarterly magazine that we put out. And so that's why we get, advertisers in there, because we want you guys to get your products out there in front of these people that we're putting these magazines out in front of, because that's how they find out about your products. That's how I found out about women in pest control. So that's why you guys are important. And we appreciate you being one of our vendors. We really
can't
do.
put on a conference without sponsors, and one of my biggest mentors has been Marty Keene with Nantis Corporation, and she has taught me what manufacturers will do for conferences and stuff like that, and for people actually, like if somebody wanted to try out a product, there's so many people out there that has no idea that all they got to do is contact their manufacturing rep and say, hey, I heard about this product, can you send me a sample? And they'll do it. They want you to sample their stuff and get it out there so you'll buy it. But and a lot of people don't understand what it takes to put on a conference, and it takes a lot. So
A lot.
but like I said, if it wasn't for the sponsors, we couldn't do it. So last year we did another first for Women in Pest Control, and we honored some sponsors. There had been sponsors that had been at our conference every year for 5 years. So they got a certificate, a 5-year certificate, along with this really cool what it was, paperweight?
Paperweight,
Yeah,
yep.
paperweight with their name engraved on it, their company name engraved on it, and said a 5-year achievement, along with certificate. And we
And
always
the
get our
goodies
speakers.
didn't look good today.
Our speakers are all volunteers. We do pay for one night of their hotel room. They all got gift baskets. So we're doing stuff in our conference that nobody else does. And I think that's
100%.
another reason the sponsors like coming to our conference. It's not a big conference. It's not a ton of people, but you got the right people there. Well, unfortunately, last year it got a little crazy because of the weather, but we're not going to do that again. We're going to have it in summer, so we don't have to worry about the weather.
We're never going
Yeah.
anywhere cold ever again if I have anything to do with it. Ever.
No, it won't happen. You're good.
Yeah, it's gonna be. I'm so excited to go in the summer, and yeah, I mean, planning a conference, and both of you are running your own businesses and mentoring, and so doing that all at the same time. I mean, I can't even imagine the time commitments that you've poured into this, passion project, Women in Pest Control, and, just so important what you're doing. And, I have one of my good girlfriends just took over her parents' pest control business, and she went to last year a bigger conference, which I won't name names or anything. It's not the conference's fault, but she was shopping for vendors. She was going to be the decision maker, right? Her parents are removing themselves from the company. And she said, yeah, whenever I went up to the vendors, some of them just they didn't really acknowledge me. I think, one of them said, "Oh, where's your husband? Where's your
That happens
husband?"
a lot.
Yeah. She's like, actually, I'm a business. I own a pest control
Right.
company, right? And so quickly it shifts and it changes. And, I think, other conferences are fun, but I mean, this is more of like a comfortable, safe space where,
It
you're not
is.
going to be questioned for things like that. I don't even think that's going to be a thought in anyone's mind, right? I mean,
Right.
yeah.
So is she
No,
coming to
it
our
is
conference?
I sent it
yeah,
to
is
her.
she?
I was like, you need to go. She's like,
She
I'm gonna
needs to.
try. I'm gonna try. So there you go.
Yeah, it is really, really important to keep that in mind. And that's when I was at our South Carolina conference, I was talking to a lot of the vendors and I let them know, okay, hey guys, there's 500 people here. How many of these people make the decision on buying your product? 90% of our attendees are owners. They are the decision makers, and that's the difference. When I went there, when I first went to the Women in Pest Control conference, I was not a decision maker, but let me just tell you, I saw some of the coolest things. I went back and told our decision maker, hey, you need to check this stuff out. And a lot of what we saw there, they implemented within the year. So
That's amazing.
it's really, really important, but it is such a safe space, and there's so many, our speakers are amazing. And that is one of the things that, people ask us about our group. One of my good friends asked me about, what's the deal with you having a woman's group? And I said, well, let me ask you a question. Your daughter is getting into pest control with you. I said, now if she decides to have babies, can she talk to you about what did you do when you were pregnant with her?
And working.
When you were exposed, and working in the pest control industry, those are the kind of things. I said, this is a safe space. We have people that ask us about that. What bra type do you wear for support to make sure that you're safe? It's, it's a safe environment and you're not belittled. You're not belittled for asking questions. One of the things that I love about the group is I'm very passionate. Oh my gosh, I have the biggest, tenderest heart for elderly people and children.
Yes.
And so that's why I love Bobbie.
Yeah.
So she's she's a senior child, right? But seriously, that is our passion, and women are our passion. And so if I go in there and we talk about something and you cry, nobody in there is going to say you're weak. Nobody's going to say you're weak because you had compassion.
Yeah, and the year before last, Patty Whitten and Gabby Case had everybody crying in the whole
God,
conference.
it was with everybody in there cried. They were speaking about their losing their parent and then taking over the business and how they needed to be prepared. Let me tell you, it caused me to come back and know that when I started my business, I needed to have my husband as a backup because these people lost their parent who'd had their business for 30, 40 years easy. And when they died, their business got shut down because they didn't have another licensee.
They didn't have a CA
those
on.
It was amazing. Everybody in that whole entire room, everybody was in tears.
And there
But
was
it
about
wasn't
70 women at that one,
at
right?
least. Yeah, it was 70, 75 women, and everybody in there was crying. And so it is a place where we can, bare our
That's why
hearts
the
and that kind of
conference,
stuff.
what we do, like now we're doing some wildlife stuff. That's going to be for guys and girls.
Yeah.
And then we got wildlife sessions that's going to be for guys. But our conference with our speakers is just for the women only. And it'll always be that way.
Yeah.
As long as I'm doing it, it'll always be that way. And hopefully that'll live on with Nanette.
Yep.
Yeah.
If it doesn't kill me first. It's a lot of work. It is a lot of work. And Bobbie's passion is to help people so much. That's all she thinks about. That woman will call me all times of the night. I've thought of something else that's going to help so and so. We need to do this because it's going to help them. And this is what we can do to help our women in our group. It's not about us at all. It's about all the young women like yourself that are coming into the industry that we can share our knowledge and things that we've been through and so that you don't have to go through what we went through, being the trailblazers and having to go through all that stuff. And that's what our group is about. We're mamas and grandmas and aunts and, and we just, and business owners, and that is but I will tell you, what? I want to say one of the things what you didn't ask, what are some of the downfalls of being a woman in pest control?
It's on my list.
Okay. Well, let me tell you one of the So one of the downfalls of being a woman in pest control, especially if you're a mom, is trying to mama people into positions, and that doesn't work. Now, if you had me as a mama, it would scare you. But some of these people didn't have me as a mama. But you tend to want to mother people, and when you step into a business role, it's totally different. You can still have compassion. You can still love your employees, but you have to be firm and know that you're teaching them, because you're still running a business. That's the hardest part. Is stepping out of the mama role and into the business owner role. That's
Yeah.
hard. That is super hard.
I can
That's
only
the hardest part
imagine.
for me.
I never
It's
owned
very
my own
hard.
business, but I mean,
You might one day.
I might
We'll push you.
I love it. I mean, I've like managed teams of people and stuff,
Yeah.
and I've had to take that hat off, It's like it'll
Yeah.
just weigh on you all day long. Like you just have
Right.
that instinct of like, oh, but and you just can't do
Yeah.
that. You just have to think.
You can still have compassion
have compassion.
for people,
Yes.
but you still have but because you're a female, sometimes you have to be firmer, and so you teeter on the B word. Sometimes people see you as that because you're assertive. But I think that's the fine line is knowing where to be assertive and be but like myself, okay? Because I held management positions with Terminex, and so I had to lead by example. So one of the things that we did, one of their big things that this probably stuck with me more than anything else, because I learned so much cool stuff working with Terminex. And at the time I thought, man, these people are mean or whatever, but they taught me a lot. Now that I own my own business, I know why they were going, triple rinse that thing, get every chemical out of it,
Yeah.
because now I pay for it. So it's a little bit different. But one of the things that I did is I had all males. I did not have any females with me except for my clerical. And so I'm definitely not going to care about going hunting. That's not my jam. I don't go hunting, okay? But I had men that worked for me that love to hunt. It's season. You can't. And terminators don't want you to take off to go hunting. They don't care. You get your vacation time and that's it. So we had to have our guys go in, and they had to have so many points, right, for referrals. And if they didn't, we lost some good technicians because they didn't get their points, and they had been there years. But you beg them and teach them, and they still wouldn't do it, and so they had to go choose another career somewhere. Well, what I did was I got in their heads. I learned them. I met their families. I had gatherings and said, no, not just for you. Bring your family. I want to know you. And that's how I got to know my employees that work for me with Terminex. And so what I did was I put up a contest, because I didn't want to lose any of my guys. They were great guys. So I said, okay, I tell you what we're going to do. I'm putting up a contest, and the guy who has the most points at the end of the month, I will run your route for a full day, use your handheld, put everything in there. You get paid and you get to be at the house. And let me tell you, I didn't lose any of my technicians, but those guys, let me tell you, they love to hunt. So they were out there getting their numbers, and it was a competitive thing every month, because I knew as a salesperson, I was competitive. I just had to find out what motivated my people. That's hard. You have to learn your people.
You have to learn your people. Yeah. 100%. I love that you got into that story. It's so interesting. I talk to a lot of owners, and I think one of the main issues they face is retention, and doing things like that and finding out what motivates your people to go, and it just feeling so connected, like you met families and all that stuff is just so overlooked for retention. It really just goes such a long way.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I love that. I know we're out of time, but Bobbie, I'd love to know, same question that Nanette brought up. What is the hardest part, if you could pick one thing, maybe two, of being a woman in pest control?
I can't answer that because I've never had a problem with anybody I work for. Never had any issues with me being a woman. I got, passed up for a sales position that I should have had, but that only led me to starting my own companies, because the company I was working for was going downhill anyhow. So, but
Yeah.
in fact, my old boss, he relied on me to keep him straight. So like, there were certain protocols and SOPs for certain clients, and any of the guys would call and ask him, what am I supposed to do at this account? And he would tell them to call me. So I never really had any problems, so I can't really answer that the way it probably should be answered by some, because there's a lot of ladies that make comments in the group of how they were treated and what these service managers or whatever were doing to them. So
Well,
you probably the same way, huh, Nanette?
Yeah. Oh,
Yep.
absolutely. We actually had a old school regional manager that told me, he said, if I have to hold your hand, I don't need you. And that was the best thing that sucker could have told me, because
Yep.
I'm one that when you tell me I can't do something, I will kill myself to prove to you that I can. And then because they all laughed and joked behind my back. Those guys, not everybody, not everybody. I had some really great managers, and I will tell you, one of the best managers I ever had, I had a kid the same age as him. His grandpa actually owned our franchise, and they made him go up. They made him start at the bottom. This kid had to be a technician, and they put him in one of the toughest areas in the United States to be a technician. As far as dangerous, I think I wouldn't have put my baby there. But anyway, and he came up through the ranks as a technician. He became a service manager. He became a sales manager. He became the regional manager. Now that kid right now today runs Terminix of North Carolina.
wow.
And he actually helped us. So I was the branch manager of Rocky Mount, North Carolina, which was considered by some of the managers the armpit of our Terminix, because it was low income area. It was not Raleigh. It was Rocky Mount, Edgecombe County. So it was, lower income farm area, that kind of stuff. And so the area manager that I had would hardly ever come there. And so we just felt like we were out there okay, they didn't care about us. My people felt the same way. That manager said, hey, I'm going to hang out here in Raleigh because that's where I make my money. Jamie came into the business and said, hey, we get paid on growth. You've got the best potential to make me money because you've got a lot of room to grow. And so he came in, made my people feel like they were important, made me feel like I was important, and trusted me to do things, and we showed them. And so I had young enough people that were smart enough to know, trust the old lady, she can help you. So, and
Well, I'm kind of
he
getting that
didn't.
now since I'm the old
Right.
lady.
And yeah, right. So it was a battle, because the older fellas, they felt like the women should be at home or in the office. And yeah, I mean, that was the biggest deal. I mean, you talk to somebody about being in pest control and they think you're a secretary or an office man, a worker or CSR. No, I crawl under houses every day. I don't go in roofs. I don't like heights, but I'll go under anything. But you'd be surprised at the respect that you get when you say, hey, I'm the owner of the company. What can I help you with?
Right.
And they're
100%.
like, oh,
100%.
hey.
And I was going to ask you real quick about your branding with praying Nantis Pest Control. And I went on your I see your polo. I went on your website. Bobbie, I know you're the bug lady, right? In Austin. Having this kind of branding, has it affected anything for you? Do you see any difference at all? Yeah, probably more people that you would want to work with, right? Because you kind of weed all of that out on its own, I would imagine.
It's because I have a play on mantis. It's not mantis. I'm not a man. I'm a nan. It's praying Nantis.
Yes, I
And
love it.
and everything, and it's pink. My uniform shirt is pink. My shoes are pink. My sprayer's pink. I have a pink hat, and everybody knows me. Everybody knows when they see the pink shirt, they know that it's the praying Nantis. And I mean, I am a faith-based business, so that's not something that everybody puts out there. But if you don't like it, I'm sorry. I'll still pray for you. So because we pray for our customers, with our customers, and we pray on what bugs them. So so that's what it is, and it's our story. It's just who we are, and we believe that if you work hard enough, that everything aligns right. You take care of your customers, they take care of you.
Love it.
Absolutely.
So good.
Mhm.
So
Absolutely.
good. Well,
But-
thank you both for going over. I really appreciate it. I could just talk to you all day. I really
Bobbie's got some
could.
good stories.
I know. I'm like, oh, I want to know everything. I do.
Well, I do want to say one.
Of course.
We don't only mentor women, we also help guys too. There's been
Yep.
several guys in this area that I've helped. They didn't even know how to go about it. So I've done that too, and I actually helped a guy while he was waiting to get his license. I kept him busy doing exclusion work. So that way he had money coming in while he was waiting to get his license. So we've done that. And we also I started doing lunch and learns, and that's where we host it. I get a manufacturing rep to sponsor it. Everybody comes in and eats lunch, and then he shows his products and talks about his products, and it's a win-win situation for everybody, because the owners get free meals, or the technicians, they get a free meal. He gets to meet small businesses that he don't normally get in front of. So it's a win, and they love doing it. It's a win-win situation. We just changed the name of it now because we've got somebody that wants to do breakfast, lunch, dinner, maybe. So now it's going to become Educated Eats.
Educated Eats. I love that.
WIPC is hosting Educated Eats, and so that's what they're going to be called from here on out.
That's great. And that's all accessible virtually, right?
Yeah. No, this is in person.
In
Oh, it's in
person.
person. Okay.
Yeah, it's in person. It's in person. I've got a gal. In fact, she's the one that suggested the Educated Eats that we all approved. That's going to be doing one up in Wisconsin and some other state up north. And she's actually got a manufacturing rep that's going to sponsor it and host it at a hotel conference room and having the meal catered in even, and they're gonna have a couple of different speakers. So
Wow.
we're going actually above and beyond just a lunch.
Yeah. Both of you do so much. Oh my gosh. Outside of running your own business. It just shows you like how deeply passionate you both are mentoring, teaching, and bringing in this like new wave and income generation of women or, men too, and then setting them up for success. And I think that kind of dedication really speaks volumes. And I know I'm excited to go to Women in Pest Control. I know what the rest of my team that's excited to go. We talk about it at least once a day. Like,
is your boss coming? You're the owner?
I don't think he is. I think he's saying that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's me, our COO, our sales director, and one of our account managers.
Cool.
So,
Awesome.
can't wait.
That's so
Can't wait.
cool.
Yeah.
Well, also too, Women in Pest Control is also partnering with people. We are a partner with Webcoat, and Webcoat puts our logo on their glue boards, and their glue boards can be sold through our merchandise company, Dasher International, which all can be found on our website.
Oh, great.
We just partnered with VM Products, and we're partnered with a company called Patriot Medical, and we're also partnered with the Pest Posse. So
Awesome. That's on your website? Okay.
yeah,
take a look.
everything's on our website. We don't have VM on there yet because what they're doing for us is not available yet, but it will be soon. And as soon as we get that out, it will be on our website also.
Very cool. Yeah. I'll take a look. Definitely. So
it's all good stuff happening.
great stuff. Great
Yeah.
stuff. I mean, I could keep going and ask like 1,000 more questions, but I'm gonna let you both go. Thank you again so much. I will put links. We'll have links in the comment section of YouTube of the group, and really anything else that we've talked about in the episode. I'll make sure that it's accessible. And if you haven't looked into going to the conference, you should look into going. Women in Pest Control Conference. We'll have a link as well. And thank you, Bobbie and Nanette, for your time and your honesty and transparency, and for everything that you do. You both are so amazing. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
We're happy
Thank you
to
for
do
the
it.
opportunity.
Of course.
Thanks for having us on. We appreciate it.
Oh, yeah, anytime. Come back.
Okay.
All right.
Take care.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.